Good morning, everybody. It is the end of June, but it's been a really wonderful month celebrating Pride here throughout the county. We had a wonderful Pride in the Plaza celebration in downtown Silver Spring. We've had a number of events organized all throughout Montgomery County over the last 4 weeks, really celebrating our diversity, celebrating love, and celebrating our beautiful families that make up our 1.1 million residents here. It is a wonderful celebration, and for me as well, serving as the first openly LGBTQ plus council member, having a new council, 6 new council members who each bring their families, their beautiful families into the fold, their love and shared commitment for our community. It is a wonderful thing, and that shared commitment and that love is more important than ever, because while we celebrate Pride here in Montgomery County, there are jurisdictions and states all across the country that are doing the opposite. Over the last few months, there have been more than 520 anti-LGBTQ plus pieces of legislation introduced throughout this country. Reversing rights, shoving people back in the closet, taking away our dignity. This is not the Montgomery County way. This is not Maryland's way, which is why this celebration, this continued celebration, and the continued laws, regulations, and policies that we pass here in Montgomery County to make sure that everybody is loved, is respected, and is seen for who they authentically are. And it's also important to note that later today, this council will be codifying and creating an anti-hate task force, further making sure that members of the LGBTQ plus community and every group here in Montgomery County feel safe, seen, and respected while living within our borders. That is who we are, and I'm glad to have a partner like County Executive Elrich in these efforts as well, and I'll turn it over to him to make a few comments.
So this is, an issue of great consequence. For centuries, people were rendered invisible. And in our own country, people were required to be invisible for a very long time. And, it is good to see how rapidly the cloak of invisibility was forced to come down, but there's still people out there trying to put it back up. And we're going to have our own debate in Montgomery County, in the school system. And I think everybody knows that. It's like probably the elephant in the room. But the truth is that if the signature of our community is that we protect and value everybody, then everybody means everybody. And everybody who comes to us and says, we want you to support us and protect us and make sure we're safe there, needs to extend that courtesy to everybody else in the community, including the LGBTQ plus community. There can be no exceptions to tolerance, and you can't pick and choose who you tolerate. So we have a responsibility to, do the right thing. I started, I do these weekly messages, and this month, we started with an interview with Rich Madaleno and myself, because Rich was this amazing leader in the state legislature on the gay pride issues, and I guess before him was Sheila Hickson. And so Maryland made great strides in gay marriage, the first place by ours, I think, to actually pass it by referendum, but it was no small thing. And so we're on a path that we're not going back from. People need to be visible. They're visible anyway, so people who think if I erase them from books somehow they're not going to exist is a little bit nuts. So I'm proud to stand here, proud to support this community, and I want everybody to know that we're not wavering, we're not backing up. We know what's right, and we're going to keep doing what's right. It's the easiest thing to do. Anything else gets you into a convoluted, mind-twisting mess. Just doing what's right is pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and in this case, really clear. Thank you.
Thank you very much, County Executive, and also extend our deep appreciation for the leadership of Senator Rich Madaleno for everything that you've done and continue to do for our county and our state. At this point in time, I would like to invite up two local high school students. Part of Pride Month is youth engagement, and we want to make sure that youth voices are heard. And we organized an essay competition, a poem competition, and allowed students to share their thoughts regarding LGBTQ plus visibility and representation. And the two winners of that competition are Rose Slade, who is a rising 11th grader, 10th grader at BCC, and Nikki Jang, if you want to come on up, who attends Richard Montgomery as well. And they're going to share with you their own thoughts, their words about representation, about diversity, and about our beautiful community. And so, Rose, we'll start with you.
Good morning, everyone. I wonder if my friends can't imagine growing up. I've heard so many people talking about what representation meant to them, being able to see queer people exist, just exist, to simply see them in the world and in books. So many people say how they can't visualize their future because they've never seen someone like them have one, that when they were young and someone asked them what they wanted to be, they never knew. Not because they didn't know what professions they liked, they just couldn't visualize themselves having a future. When they tried to imagine a future self, it felt like someone else, a perfectly normal life, exactly what was expected, but it didn't belong to them. It makes sense why the suicide rate is so high. It must be hard to find the motivation to continue a life when you can't even fathom growing up, when the future you're supposed to have is completely foreign. I remember an old queer person's video. I don't remember what the video was about. I remember all the people in the comments talking about how that video was the first time they'd been able to see a queer person grow old. All the creator did was exist visibly, and so many people realized that they had a future. I wonder if my friends can see themselves growing old. I never asked them about it, but I hope they can. They deserve to exist.
Thank you. Here, Rose, stay up here, stay up here. Thank you for that wonderful essay, Rose. And now Nikki is going to share her essay too.
Good morning. Have you ever imagined what it's like to be rejected by the world and not be accepted for your true self? This year, Pride Month is once again acknowledged by many as a celebratory time for everyone to reflect on the positive impacts made by the LGBTQ+ community, and as a reminder for those in the LGBTQ+ community to stand tall for who they are and to take pride in themselves as unique individuals. Despite many recognizing the LGBTQ community and its impacts, there are still those in the community who face discrimination and experience the feeling of being pushed away by others because of their differences. All people deserve to have their voices heard, and in the same way, the LGBTQ+ community deserves to have the right to represent themselves freely without restrictions on their rights. People of the LGBTQ+ community should own the right to express themselves in all aspects, including the right to represent themselves in the community, government, sports, books, movies, television, and more, because everyone should be proud of their true selves without having to fear the judgment and views of others. At my school, my teachers, who are part of the LGBTQ+ community, supported my ideas and made me feel represented. Ultimately, it is only through the inclusion of all sexualities and the acceptance of the LGBTQ+ community that the world can become more welcoming to those who are different, while taking steps toward a more better and more accepting place. Thank you.
You can see why they're here today. I want to first also thank both of you. Thank all of your teachers and administrators at BCC and at Richard Montgomery and within MCPS, trying to foster a community where everybody is safe, seen, and welcome. And also, I just want to thank their parents. You know, I want to thank you for raising children who want to celebrate our diversity and inclusion and share their love with everybody. So thank you very much to your parents. With that, I'd love to bring my colleagues down so that we can read this proclamation together for the official Pride 2023 proclamation. Here, Rose, you want to take that? Okay. Most of us are here. So a proclamation from Montgomery County. Whereas June is Pride Month and 2023 marks the 5th year that Montgomery County recognizes Pride as a time to celebrate love and inclusivity. And
whereas during Pride Month, we reflect on the progress we have made in the fight for justice, inclusion, equality, while reaffirming our commitment to do more to support lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer rights. And
whereas the meaningful contributions made by our LGBTQ plus community enhance our county's diverse history and our culture. And
whereas we recognize trailblazers of generations before us, like Marsha Johnson, who protested against police brutality after Stonewall, and celebrated people like her who championed the struggle of civil rights and helped pave the path towards achieving full equality. And
whereas we celebrate the accomplishments and victories of the LGBTQ plus community, such as the 11th anniversary of the marriage equality in Maryland, while highlighting the dangers of the Supreme Court reversing the hard-fought progress made in recent years. And
whereas we honor we honor the resilience and determination of the many individuals who are fighting to live freely and authentically. In doing so, they're opening hearts and minds and laying the foundation for a more just and equitable society. And whereas today the rights of LGBTQ plus Americans are under relentless attack, members of the LGBTQ plus community, especially people of color and trans people, continue to face discrimination and cruel, persistent efforts to undermine their human rights. And
whereas Montgomery County reaffirms its commitment to support our non-binary and transgender residents, particularly Black trans women, who continue to face marginalization, discrimination, and violence. And
whereas Pride is a time to recall the trials endured by the LGBTQ plus community and to rejoice in the triumphs of trailblazing individuals who have bravely fought for full equality. And
whereas the LGBTQ plus community and smaller municipalities within the county have organized parades, workshops, festivals, and many other activities to celebrate Pride Month and uplift their LGBTQ plus neighbors, and whereas everyone should be able to live without fear of prejudice, discrimination, violence, and hatred based on race, religion, gender identity or sexual orientation, age, or disability. And
whereas, with the Progress Pride flag proudly raised in our Veterans Memorial Plaza outside the County Executive Office building, Montgomery County stands with LGBTQ plus people, their loved ones, and allies locally and across the country.
now therefore be it resolved that Mark Elrich as County Executive, Evan Glass as Council President, and the entire Council of Montgomery County, Maryland hereby proclaim June 2023 as LGBTQ plus Pride Month, presented on this 27th day of June in the year 2023. Happy Pride, everybody. And what I would love to do, we are about to take a picture. If you are here and you want to celebrate Pride and you want to be in a picture with all of us celebrating Pride Month, we welcome you to come on down for a quick photo. So come on down, everybody.